So today I'm joined by DTM driver Paul Di Resta and going to give you some advice hopefully on how to get a bit quicker in a car. So my first question is, most people start in go-karts in the early part of their career. What did you sort of learn in your go-kart career that's so important nowadays in DTM, for example?
I think the biggest thing go-kart teaches you is racecraft. It's how to deal with pressure, when to be fast and when to pick your battles. And the good thing about go-karting, no matter where you qualify or where you start on the grid, you can always win races. You don't have such a thing as losing downforce, and they're quite short, sharp races, and it's just it's brutal. You know, it's maximum attack to try and do the best possible, and it's the foundations of the character I think you build yourself that then goes into the nature of that person on the track when they become a professional.
Yeah. So when you first stepped into an actual car for the first time, what was the biggest challenge for you at first? The thing between that and karting?
I think the biggest thing is how limited running you get, but it's the spatial awareness of how big these tracks can be. And obviously in junior formulas you're going pretty slow, so everything seems so far away. But very quickly, any car, any go-kart you drive on the edge is very different, but it's just about being able to turn it on a race car with the limited mileage you've got, because it is so expensive and because it is so restricted. In a go-kart, you're in it weekend after weekend, and I guess all the way through the championships you get less and less running, so it's kind of an adaptation that you kind of build consistency over, and I think put it to good use when it's time.
So like any driver, you, I'm sure, had to find sponsorship in your early career. How did you go about acquiring them when you first found I need money to continue racing?
Well, firstly, I'm from Scotland, and it's not a very well known for a very wealthy place, but I was very fortunate. My dad was into racing. He raced himself. He always did it himself, so I didn't race with any teams. We didn't have the money to do that. It was all done on him, so it was all his hard work during the week at nights. He was at the track, he was paying for it, he was driving the van there, he was mechanicking, he was engineering, he was doing the full works, and I was very much part of that. You know, whenever I got home from school, all I wanted to do was get in the garage and, you know, help him out and get ready for go-kart races and be ready. And I think that was one of the big things that, for me personally, makes the journey so special, because it was a father and son pure relationship that got us there.
Because a lot of people just get a big sponsor straight away, don't they, and they're automatically probably going to get quite far up, but did you find that sort of family spirit really got you through some tough times?
It was a family spirit, and I think the other big thing is taking advice off your father. Is normally people don't normally do it. They normally react better to someone else, but I knew my dad's interests at heart, and you know, we could win and lose as a team, and equally build on that strong relationship as your best friend to go there and do well, and still very much part of it.
So fitness is a big thing in racing in general. Do you have a regime that you continue out through the season, or is there one at the start of the season that you sort of go intense? And
I think your fitness kind of, depending on what you're doing. At the moment, I've got to say I don't do a huge amount of training, purely because I'm at a racetrack most weekends, whether it's doing TV with Sky, racing in America or racing DTM. The rest tends to kind of take over, but I'm very much race fit this year. Over the winter you build the foundation of your baseline fitness up, but when I was in F1, when you could concentrate a lot more on it, I was doing about 25 hours a week between strength and on the bike mostly, and a lot of it was keeping lean and keeping my weight down. And it purely comes down to where the efficiency and where you have to put your time to make sure you're there. I've never had a problem with strength, but you need to ensure that you're ready for the whole race.
I guess you need different attributes depending on what car you're driving as well. I don't know, is Formula 1 more intensive than...
Yeah, is it? Funnily enough, I was just sitting there with Gary, literally before I came over, and we're looking at his heart rate during Norris Ring in a DTM car versus driving at Spa in a GT car. And over the course of the average, it was 60 heartbeats over the course of an hour different, just how much easier it is in a GT car to what these cars are.
Wow. I would never have expected that. I thought it would all be, you know, pretty similar. But
no, and I guess it's the same pressure environment, you know, so obviously the heat's similar, but it just shows you that extra little bit of speed and physical strength, why it's required as a sportsman.
So early on in your career, did you have to sacrifice a lot to get racing? Because I've heard lots of stories about people missing like family birthdays, weddings, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to be best man at my brother's wedding 2 weeks ago, but I was racing in America. So when one of your best friends gets married, and my brother, who we are so close, it's a kick in the teeth. But you're racing is such a short career. You've got to understand that my family have been a great support to that and know what it means to me. Would I say they're sacrifices? No, because they're decisions that you can change, but predominantly you understand why you make those decisions at the time in your life. And I guess it's worked out for me.
Yeah, exactly. You've made a great career out of it. Did you have many obstacles in the early part of your career that you've grown on and you've learnt from those, and that's made you into the driver today? Or?
Every lap, every day, the journey of life changes. So I'm a great believer in think about the future, forget about the past. You're only as good as your last race result, and concentrate on doing the best job possible.
So you were talking to Gary earlier. How often do you look at data after each session? Is it quite intensive after each session you're looking at stuff?
I guess it is very intense when you're coming through junior ranks. It's important to get your driving style. At the moment, depending on where you are and how comfortable you are, you have to have a bit of a natural feeling in there. But of course, it's very data driven now with simulation tools that you've got. And I do exactly what I need to do, and when you're a bit older like me and you're 32 in this business, you kind of know what you want to look out for and what not to look out for, but it's always interesting to see what other people are doing.
So how important is relying on your team, maybe not relying on your teammates, but how learning from them, where they were a tenth faster, where you were a tenth faster?
Yeah, equally, and you're giving your secrets away as well. It's you can't hide anything, and that's why you just need to show everything, and the best man comes out on top when it's time.
So my last one was, if you had one piece of advice for me to step in a car for the first time, what would that be going to my first race?
Listen, I can only personally talk about what racing means to me, and if someone else gets that kick out of it in life, but that may be another journey for someone. But it's my hobby, it's my passion, and there's no place like it to be in your office, what you want to call it, in your armchair, driving a race car. My family is the most important thing to me in life. I've got a wife and 2 young kids, but racing is a very close second. And the life that I've had for it, wouldn't change it with anybody. Even where I am at this point, I wouldn't change it with anybody. And I hope you get the same feeling if that's what you want to do.
Well, thank you for your time.